Hello, and welcome to an episode of me freezing my bollocks off for no good reason once again. It's the day before the start of brown trout season, but there's been some rain last night and the water's quite high for the first time in a few weeks. I've been out fishing a few times since the opening day, but I haven't caught anything, and the water's been really low and really clear, and I didn't want to keep on putting videos up. I'm not catching anything. It's disheartening, you know, for me to edit all that, let alone people watch it. So there's somebody coming with their dog. I just have to get used to this talking to the camera thing. So I've got a new rod. Some of you will know that I managed to lose my switch rod at the end of last season, so I've got a new one, but I've changed things up a wee bit. I'm going to I'll give you a wee quick tour of it. I just have to spin the camera around. So what I did was I went down to a size 4 switch rather than getting like a 7 or 8, because it's far too much for this river. So it's I'll put it around. It's the V switch. It's Maxcatch, you know, the Chinese brand. It's I've had it out once already, just to, well, I haven't actually had it on the river. I've had it out the bag and I've put it together, and it feels okay. You get a little fighting butt here which you can unscrew, and there's like a little shorter normal size butt, just for if you want to use it single-handed. Just keeps it balanced. I'm using an old Maxcatch reel that I bought years and years ago for fishing tiny little burns and streams. A Maxcatch shooting head. It's just everything's Maxcatch. Aye. You watch my videos?
I do.
Cheers, mate.
So we're busy down there today.
I know, but it's the first time we've had high water for weeks and weeks, so I'm going to get a bash.
Good luck.
Cheers. Oh, somebody watches my videos. What was I saying? Aye, and on the end of that, I've got a little 5 foot intermediate sort of sinking tip. Well, slow sinking tip, not intermediate. So, aye. And then on the end of that, I've got a wee sea trout pattern. So, as you heard there, the water's kind of high. It's kind of dirty, but it's the first time I've had any water for weeks. So I'm going to go and give it a bash. So I'll see you on the water. Right, so aye, he was right. There's quite a bit of colour on the water. Maybe a bit more than I would like. Visibility's not great. I can't even see my feet, and I'm only up to my knees. But the weather's been really unsettled, as anybody in the UK knows. For the last week or two we've had snow and sleet and hail and all kinds of shit. So I'm just going to take advantage of any chance I can to get out, to be honest, catch or not. So I bought this new setup because the 7 weight that I had was just overkill for this river. It didn't make any sense. It made sense on the previous river I was fishing, which was a kind of, oops, a wee bit of grit in the mechanism there. Just give that a wee thing out. It made sense where I was before, but it didn't make any sense here. And just due to budgetary constraints, I couldn't really afford to go out and spend another £300-400 on a rod. So I had a look around Amazon, and this one kept popping up. It was £77 with free postage. So okay, and I watched a few like reviews on it. It's quite popular in America. Not so much here, I don't think. I couldn't find very many videos in the UK. But that's besides the point, I suppose. But I decided that, oops, got caught up in something there. I decided not to go and spend hundreds of pounds again for a rod that I probably wouldn't use that often. But with this rod, the 4 weight, I can use it in this river most of the year, especially in the summer where it's all overgrown and it's hard to get a back cast in most places. So with this I can just hopefully just give it a test. Yeah, I can roll cast this out. That was a terrible cast, but yeah, this will lend itself well to roll casting and, you know, snap tee and all that sort of thing, as well as overhead, I expect. if and when it's possible. Yeah, no effort at all. I can get clear across the river here. This is probably the widest part of the river, so happy with that. And it's light enough at a 4-weight, but if I do catch, you know, little brownies like ½ pound, I'm still going to get some sport. With the big 7 or 8 weight, it was like a brush pole, and I couldn't tell I had a fish on a lot of the time. So this is that's obviously my first day out with it. So I'll let you know how I got on, if I would recommend it. But for £77, it's kind of a no-brainer, I suppose. Even if it's not a great rod, it's a relatively cheap rod. And when I was looking at getting, it was a Gray's GR60 or GR80 5-weight switch. That was £300, plus it's £100 for an integrated switch line, and I'd have to buy a new reel, so there's another £100. And before you know it, you've spent 500 quid. This whole setup, partly because I had the backing line and the sink tip already, and the reel, I suppose. I think it all together, if I was to buy it all brand new, it was about 120 quid. But because I had most of it already, it was less than 100. And once the line's in the water, the fish don't give a crap what brand I'm using. I'm not sponsored by Maxcatch, by the way. I just give my honest opinions on this. It's a cheap rod, but if it catches me a fish, then it's a good rod as far as I'm concerned. I have to stretch out my running line here. So I'll have a few casts here, and I'm going to maybe move upstream a little, because there's a part I want to fish where I know holds the sea trout if they've run during the night. The last high tide was about, I think it was 5:30 in the morning or something like that. So it's not high tide for a few hours yet, it's only just gone like midday. So if there's any fish in the system that come up on the early morning tide, they'll be sitting around these places holding up, hopefully. Right, so we're up just by the pines, and I think the water's probably a little too high and fast here to fish it, but it's loading the rod up lovely, so I'll use this as a test, really, see how this casts. And it feels good, feels better than I expected. My casting still needs work. I mean, I'm not the greatest at the old, you know, snap C or double spay or single spay or whatever, you know, just get my fly out. That's kind of my method. I'm not bad at the single hand, but the double hand is still relatively new to me, or at least I'm rusty. I need to learn it again. But this rod feels good. I've got a 200 grain shooting head on here. I could probably go up another 50, maybe 250, even 300 if I was going to be casting out like bigger flies. But you need a bloody calculator and a degree in bloody physics to work all that crap out. But this feels about right for me. It's nice, it's light, and it casts well enough, so that's all I need from it. But I've made a mistake, I think, coming up here. The water's way too fast and too high to be fishable, really. But I just wanted to see how the rod would cope with it. I can feel, oops, I'm tighten up a little bit. I can feel the weight of the water pulling on the rod, which is a good thing. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Yeah, this isn't a high water rod. This will do better in low water, is what I'm trying to say. Small flies in slightly lower water, I think. That's my bloody line, there we go. I've got a £6 leader on here, just because I keep snagging up on the bottom when I'm using these kind of heavier sea trout flies, and I keep losing them, and I'm risking losing my shooting head as well, so I've put on quite a light leader so the fly will just snap off without too much effort, and any risk of losing more tackle than I absolutely have to. So I'm going to go downstream to the Easter Monday pool and then the Croy, see what's happening down there, and then the benches, and from there I think the unnecessarily steep stairs are closed to the public for the time being, so it's a bit of a jungle trek to get to the other side down to the weir pool. But I'm not going to put in loads of footage of me tramping around and not catching anything, so unless I fall in, catch something, or think of a good joke or whatever, I'll catch up with you when I think I've got something to say and test the rod. Well, I've tested the rod fishing river left, just a snap tee, so I'm going to go down where I'm on the other bank down to the weir pool and see how I can cast from there using a more traditional sort of whatever the hell it's called. You know the cast I mean, single spey, and we'll try from there. So unless I catch anything, I'll see you at the weir pool. Well, down at the weir pool, and conditions aren't any better here than they were further upstream by the pines. Kind of wish I'd brought my heavier rod for this because I could put quite a heavy fly in here, I think, but never mind. If there are any fish running, this is when they would be running in these conditions. It's been weeks and weeks since the water's been like this, but no matter. I can't really wade in here because the water's too fast and I can't see more than a couple of inches down, so no idea what I'll be walking into. The riverbed is almost completely changed from last year. I knew it quite well, but with a few really serious floods, and it's scoured the bottom here and in other places, but especially here. There's been a few big rocks that have been shifted, leaving great big holes, and a few new rocks that have filled in what were nice little runs and easy places to wade, so I'm not going in when I can't see. I've no idea what's under there. There was a waterlogged tree halfway down between here and the benches a while ago that I almost came a cropper on, but I managed to unjam it, let's touch that, from where it was the other day at low water, so hopefully this spate will have shifted it. Balancing with a few casts in here before I move down to the ladders, which is my favourite pool, the cafe pool. I just named all these pools myself. I don't think anybody calls them these things, but anybody that's fishing the river has got their own names, I suppose. And anybody that watches this and fishes the river will know what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to have a few casts in here, just as I say, to test the rod out. It's casting lovely. Considering I'm on the bank, I'm not even in the water. Just that little sort of single-handed, or not single-handed, little kind of switch cast, little spey casting. It's actually, I'm quite surprised at how easy I can get my fly out there. I did try a heavier fly up at the Croy. Damn it. Yeah, that's one of the problems. It's not heavy enough to pull my running line out straight. I'm going to have to deal with that. But yeah, I tried a heavier fly, like a tube fly, just a small one, about an inch long. But this head isn't heavy enough to turn it over. I'll need to fish with maybe a 300 grain head if I want to fish like tube flies. But I don't think I will be fishing them with this. I may want to fish some streamers later in the summer. I'll wait and see. I don't really fish like that, but I want to try new things. So unless I catch anything, this will be me saying thanks for watching and all the usual bits and bobs. I'm looking forward to everybody's videos coming up for the new season. You all know who you are. Wildfisher Curra, Cornish Chris, who started his adventure on the Tummel, with a video up just the other day there. So your Tistic Angler and all those guys, and Chris Matthews, you all know who you are. You don't need me to do the roll call, because I always forget somebody. Not that anybody's going to take offence, I mean, this isn't high school. But you know who you all are. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're going to get up to this season, and I wish you better luck than I've had so far. This is 5 months now since I caught a fish. It was just at the end of last season, the end of October last season, and I've been out on the river here at least half a dozen times, and I've been down at the sea at least half a dozen times and caught absolutely bugger all. So unless you've lost an eye or something, you can't be doing any worse. So let's see, tomorrow's the start of the trout season, so if it doesn't rain tonight and the water goes down a bit, I'll be out with the 10-foot 4-weight tomorrow and some dry flies. If not, it'll be the first day that's suitable. So thanks for watching. I nearly forgot, part of the reason I came out today was to test out this new rod, the V-Switch 11-foot 4-piece 4-weight, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I wasn't sure if I'd wasted my money or not buying something that costs less than a half decent line, but it's held up well. I mean, these aren't the best conditions, so I reckon if I had lower water, maybe, you know, a nicer day's fishing, it would perform a lot better, although it hasn't let me down. It casts out really well, and it can deal with fast water like this without feeling like it's going to, you know sometimes you get a really light rod and you fish it and it just doesn't feel as if it can cope. This doesn't feel like that. It's really whippy at the tip, something I'm going to have to get used to, but it's got some backbone further down, so I think it will cast out well when I've got better conditions to try it. I know I'm making excuses for my crappy casting, but you know, just the way it is. Aye, I would probably recommend it. I'd have to catch a fish with it first to see how it copes with it. I think probably, I know you double the rating of the rod for the maximum size of fish you're going to catch. So anything more than, you know, maybe 7 or 8 pounds on this, it's going to struggle with. But if it brings in a small enough fish that gives me, say, decent sport, I'll be happy. And if it can cope with anything up to like 3-4 pounds without, you know, making me feel I'm fishing with a wet noodle, then I'll be more than happy with that. Although it's unlikely I'm going to catch it on the almond, but I'm going to get down to the Tweed probably next week. I was going to try and get down this week, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. So I'll take it down there and see how it gets on. If anybody fishes the Tweed, I know some of you do, and I'll be using public transport. I can't drive at the moment because of a medical condition. So if I'm getting the train down to like Tweed Bank or the bus down to Peebles or whatever, where can I go fishing around those areas? That's really what I need to know. I don't want to drag my arse all the way down there and then discover I'm a mile away from where I need to be or whatever. So if anybody's got any advice for that, please share it. So aye, I'm away this time. I'm not even going to bother fishing in here. Look at that, a complete waste of time. Cheerio and rasta.